From Chloe and Halle, Fifth Harmony, Little Mix, and Blackpink, girl groups have been star-making machines for decades. They cultivate dedicated audiences and are curated cultural products, so they're perfect machines to produce global icons. But here's the strange paradox. Often, in recent times especially, the one member everyone expects to be the next global superstar ends up struggling the most. Think about it. Chloe Bailey, Lisa from Blackpink, they were all picked for solo domination, yet their journeys have been anything but a straight shot to the top, especially regarding Perrie Edwards. So what is the curse of the girl group breakout star, and why does the path to solo fame so often seem to lead to a dead end? This isn't just a series of unlucky breaks, it's a pattern. The industry, the media, and even the fans anoint a successor, the chosen one, destined to eclipse the group's fame. But history shows the coronation is often predestined. The road to solo stardom is uniquely dangerous for the chosen one, plagued by a specific set of challenges. I'm going to break down the key quote-unquote curses that haunt them, the crushing burden of expectation, the daunting challenges of rebranding, and the destabilizing loss of a built-in support system. And a perfect case study for this burden of expectation, look no further than Chloe Bailey. As one half of the acclaimed duo Chloe and Halle, Chloe wasn't just a promising artist, she was a protege. Signed to Beyonce's Park Entertainment, the narrative was practically written for her. She was the heir apparent, blessed by the reigning queen of music. Well, quote unquote queen of music, you know. The industry and fans weren't just hopeful, they were certain. It wasn't a question of if she would become a superstar, but when. And that kind of hype is a double-edged sword. To be fair, Chloe's identity issues also contributed to her abysmal debut. However, I feel like if the expectations were managed better from the start, Chloe would have been given more grace to grow into the success story she wanted to be, and with enough time she would have found her unique identity. From the moment she teased solo music, the pressure was immense. Every snippet was scrutinized under a microscope, measured against the impossible standard of her mentor. The expectation wasn't just for good music, it was for nuance, genre-bending art. Basically, people wanted more Chloe and Halle songs.
Oh man, they are so different.
But when her debut solo album, In Pieces, arrived in 2023, the reception was a huge reality check. After a slew of disappointing singles, and despite a heavy promotional campaign a month prior to the album's release, In Pieces commercially flopped. It was shocking. It debuted at number 119 on the Billboard 200, selling around 10,000 units in its first week. Back then, the disconnect between the hype and the album's quiet landing was jarring. In comparison, Chloe and Halle's latest project, The Ungodly Hour, sold around 24,000 units in its first week and debuted at number 16. Her solo debut, meant to be a crowning moment, performed significantly worse. And I also have to add that during Chloe's releases of her singles, the internet, which had once championed her, quickly turned critical. The conversation shifted from talent to postmortem of what went wrong. Was it the music, the marketing, or was it the shadow of Beyonce? A comparison so huge it became an inescapable eclipse. This cemented the new attitude towards Chloe Bailey. She was constantly berated for being a flop, and the most popular discourse about her were her failures.
I'm like, oh wow.
I kind of saw this with Perrie as well. Perrie was the most popular member of Little Mix. She had a lot going for her. She had the looks, the talent, and there were even rumors music executives tried to poach her away from Little Mix to be a huge solo star. Fast forward to now, Perrie's lead singles are still heavily criticized for being generic. However, the difference between Chloe and Perrie was that Perrie was doing, well, she's still doing okay, even with the criticism. Like, she's charting okay, but people want her to do stellar numbers. You know, she's not meeting expectations. Whereas with Chloe, people wanted her to do stellar, and then she ended up tanking just super hard within a short amount of time. So yeah, Chloe wasn't even doing okay. Like, she was doing really, really bad. This Beyonce shadow is a crucial piece of the puzzle. Chloe's camp heavily leaned into comparing her to the superstar, maybe as a way to quickly acquire a fan base, leeching off of B's audience. If done well, it could be a great launching pad to further heights. However, while the association brought visibility in some fans, it also created an unrealistic benchmark. Anything less than world-stopping perfection felt like a failure.
So I just have to make it a habit now so people are less shocked.
I also find it ironic how Chloe was being compared to someone who was heralded for always having her finger on the pulse, and yet Chloe had the hardest time reading the room. Chloe even tweeted about the pressure, saying, I'm sorry, this is kind of left field, but she tweeted about the comparisons and the pressures from it by saying something like, In Pieces was about letting go and trusting myself. I mean, something like that, whatever. And being grateful, all that stuff. And it was a graceful response, but it highlighted the core problem. The narrative was so focused on her being the next Beyonce that it left little room for her to be the first Chloe. The hype machine built a pedestal so high that the only way to go was down, leaving a talented artist navigating the rubble of unmet expectations. If the first curse is external pressure, the second is internal battle. The challenge of rebranding. How do you convince the world of a solo identity after years of being part of a globally recognized whole? This is the conundrum that Lisa of Blackpink is navigating in. Lisa's brand was crystal clear, the powerhouse main dancer and charismatic rapper of Blackpink. Her image was tightly controlled and reinforced for years, making her one of the most popular members of Blackpink.
Oh.
Honestly, it was between her and Jennie. I would say Lisa had the bigger global following. I don't know, but it really is too touchy to say. Regardless, people expected her solo career to be a seamless extension of that dominance that she had in Blackpink. However, the reality is more complex. Her 2021 solo debut with the single album La Lisa was a massive commercial success, breaking records for the first week sales and YouTube views, but beneath the numbers, a new challenge was brewing, defining a solo identity. While her skills as a top-tier dancer and rapper were undeniable in K-pop, translating that to the Western market presented a different hurdle. Here, intricate choreography isn't always a central selling point, and the hip-hop scene here values a different kind of lyrical and cultural authenticity. Lisa did well in K-pop, where the world over there prioritized the glitz and the glam. That did most of the heavy lifting. But in the American market, where people are tired of the bells and whistles and yearn for more talent, she struggled. She's not the best singer.
Face, eyes, body go wild. You want this? I'm a new woman.
No rapper, and unfortunately lots of her performances came off as languid, so it was crucial for her music to be top tier, but that wasn't the case. It also didn't help Lisa participated in black genres, since K-pop has a negative reputation of being anti-black, and she herself has had culturally insensitive scandals.
Oh my God, Lisa. Lisa, can we get one question for Canada?
I'm so sorry.
For Canada, one question.
Perrie shares a lot of similarities with Lisa. However, whatever Perrie lacked in identity, she made up for in talent and in performance. Perrie knows how to put on a show. She doesn't need the bells and whistles. Her talent shines through regardless. But Perrie is from a different school of artistry than Lisa, so there's a lot of cultural differences happening.
Oh, you don't sing?
I don't.
Oh, never?
I'm more like a dance. I love to dance.
Really?
Yeah, I feel weird for me to like grab the mic and sing.
Well, you're a singer.
Lisa was putting herself in a new context, but what was the new brand? Rosé, her fellow member, found a clear lane with her singer-songwriter vibe, a departure from Blackpink's sound that felt like she was close to discovering her authentic self. Lisa, on the other hand, despite steering her own ship, struggled with distinguishing herself from Blackpink. She launched her own management company, Loud, and in 2024 she signed a major deal with RCA Records to release new solo music, where she would have full ownership of her recordings, yet she still couldn't carve out her own space in the global music scene. A lot of her songs from the debut album could pass for Blackpink music, and the creation of her alter egos felt like she was trying to hide behind another group.
And you came up with this idea?
My team.
Your team came up with the idea.
And me as well.
Did it take them a long time to explain what the plan was? Like, you're going to be 5 different characters. You're like, but I thought I was doing a solo album. Like, no, there are 5 of you.
Like, for real, her alter egos, I literally thought to myself, oh my God, is she making another Blackpink? Are you serious? Lisa is always going to be successful in her own way. She's earned multiple Guinness World Records, and she was the first K-pop soloist to win the VMAs and the EMAs, and maybe this is why Lisa was a little cocky with her approach to the US solo debut thing, because all of her past accomplishments, I think she assumed that cracking the US would be easy, but her journey shows that no matter how big your fan base is, crossover success isn't guaranteed. What works for one market probably won't work for another, which is why she didn't become a Blackpink breakout solo act. The final curse maybe is the most personal, the loss of the group itself. For nearly a decade, Perrie Edwards was 1/4 a Little Mix, one of the best-selling girl groups of all time. They were a unit, a sisterhood. Every decision, from wardrobe to harmonies, was shared responsibility. Pressure was distributed and failures were buffed by 2 or 3 other people who got it. And then in 2022, it was gone. When Little Mix went on hiatus, Perrie, long rumored to be the breakout star, found herself in a very scary new reality. She admitted wanting to be more confident and wanting to make her own decisions. So while the public saw a confident performer, the artist, Perrie, is often, grappling with the newfound solitude. After a decade of collaboration, even choosing a single became a monumental task. Even singing full songs by herself was just a lot for her.
So you've got to imagine, for 11 years, I've walked into a studio and I've been told, Perrie, here you go, this is you, you're singing the chorus. Cool, that's the part I have to play, I'll do that. And then I walked into the studio for the first day as a solo artist in my home studio, and I thought, shit, I have to know this song start to finish. Every part's mine.
She was no longer a voice in a choir, she was the entire choir. This struggle was reflected in her solo music. Her debut single, Forget About Us, had a promising start, debuting on the UK top 10, but the momentum didn't quite hold. Her follow-up single, Tears, debuted at number 69 on the UK singles chart, and staying for just 1 week. The commercial performance was a stark contrast to the consistent chart dominance of Little Mix. The journey of self-discovery was also happening under an intense public glare, and Perrie's not alone. Leanne also had a rocky start with her solo career, having debut Don't Say Love, her debut single at number 11, and then her follow-up debuted at number 28. And afterwards, she released an EP in 2024 that received little to no promotion. Seriously, her label didn't try to make any songs off that EP chart. Lee eventually parted ways with Warner to become independent. Lee stressed the importance of needing time to find her sound and how difficult it was navigating label politics and public expectations.
Okay, so the best thing about being independent, I don't have to answer to anybody. Literally, like, this is my show and I can just do what I want, which is really how it should be, right? I mean, the artist should always be in control, but unfortunately, these labels, like, it's just so hard to do that. There's just always politics and you're always pulled like to and from, and like everyone's got an opinion and thinks it should sound a certain way or be a certain way, and you never really have that full creative control. And
Jessie Nelson experienced a similar fate, becoming independent after one single. Perrie would release more singles to modest responses. A lot of people criticized her music as being generic, and she stopped being at the forefront of Little Mix's breakout act, Conversations. After dropping a Christmas single, she took a hiatus, reworking her music and focusing on her family along with her mental health. When Perrie made a comeback in August, there was a new air about her. She was somewhat confident and felt assertive. The comeback single, If He Wanted To, He Would, was still criticized for being generic. However, I don't think Perrie cares. Just like Lisa, Perrie had the hardest time distinguishing a unique identity from her group. I personally believe Perrie embodied the Little Mix ethos the most out of all the girls. Unlike Jade, Leanne, or Jessie, who had a subtle edge to them that wasn't fully explored in the Little Mix brand, Perrie didn't have a hidden side to her. What you saw is what you got. She's very much girl next door, and so it happened that the music she most resonated with are the upbeat pop songs Little Mix made. But that doesn't mean she's one note. What intrigues me most about Perrie is her resilience. Similar to Leanne, Perrie will put on a smile on her face no matter what. To her, happiness is a weapon to protect yourself from the horrors of the world and its life challenges. Joy is the energy you'll need to prevail after any setback, and I think with her new condition, it gave her the strength and the material to restart her solo career. This time around, it really seems like she's doing things on her own terms, made apparent by her new surprise release marketing strategy. I also find it very ironic and very satisfying that the member the label wanted the most to be a huge solo act from the group, the member who had the most conventional look and had the great voice, decided that she was most fulfilled in a group setting as opposed to being a soloist. And when Perrie eventually went solo, she didn't care to be a superstar. Like, she's straight chilling. When the girls talk about this phase of their careers being a victory lap and not caring to reach the same level of success they did with Little Mix, it's difficult to believe that with Leanne and Jade, since you can clearly tell they're very ambitious. Whereas with Perrie, she's content with her career and her life. She doesn't aspire to be a mega pop star. Truly. Interestingly enough, the member who didn't share Perrie's pressures was Jade Thirlwall. I'd argue Jade was the second most popular member from Little Mix. Though she was in conversations of being Little Mix's superstar, she didn't have the same burden Perrie had from the label along with the fan base, in my opinion, to be this massive star. And that being the priority came with its own set of challenges. I get the feeling Perrie was catered to by Sony Music. There were more resources placed on her debut single, and she had more power in a sense. I think Forget About Us was filmed in South Africa. Yes, you heard that right. They flew old girl to a different continent to film a music video in a house. I don't know what the thinking was. It looked beautiful though, but still, like, wow. Plus, Perrie made mention of moving the release date of one of her singles to accommodate Jade's release, since the label was, I think they had them scheduled at the same time. Sony is real shady for that. I don't know what's going on there. Then we learned from Jade that at one point the executive who signed her to RCA got the boot before she debuted, and overnight her fate with the label was in question, despite all her success she's had with them under Little Mix. So there was a chance Jade was never going to be able to debut. Like, she was on the cutting board floor at one point. That situation would have never happened with Perrie. I don't care what nobody says. Anyways, Jade got her look back, as we all know. She generated immense positive buzz by taking her time. She released her album this few weeks ago, and critics have praised her for her bold and original music, artistic vision, and this suggests that the slower, more deliberate path allowed her to cultivate a unique point of view. Perrie's story is one of an artist rediscovering her voice in real time. The support system of the group was a crucial buffer. Without it, the weight of being a solo auteur became exponentially heavier, and many artists find themselves unprepared to be their own boss.
You are the creative director of this project, correct?
Yeah, I'm involved in it. Yeah.
What is that like? What comes along with that type of job?
Oh, it's really challenging.
Seeing Perrie grow into her new role has been inspiring to watch, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I genuinely can't wait to see what she brings with her new album. I listened to the trailer and it's piqued my interest. The path of the girl group Breakout star is littered with cautionary tales. The story of Chloe, Lisa, Perrie are all powerful stories of how treacherous being a soloist can be after leaving a group, especially when they are labeled the chosen one of their ensembles. It can feel more like a curse than a blessing. We've seen how the crushing burden of expectations can set an impossibly high bar, just as it did for Chloe. We've looked at the challenges of rebranding, where an artist like Lisa must strategically evolve her identity for a global stage, and we've explored the deeply personal struggle that comes with losing a support system, forcing artists like Perrie Edwards to learn to define their vision completely on their own. Often, it's the members who fly a bit under the radar, like Jade and Rose, who are given the space to experiment and define themselves without the pre-written narrative of global domination. Their success can feel more authentic because it wasn't presented as a foregone conclusion. The curse of the girl group Breakout star is a complex mix of industry pressure and brand confusion, and profound personal change. It's a stark reminder that in music, the throne is never guaranteed, and claiming it alone is one of the hardest fights an artist will ever face. So what do y'all think? Is the curse real? Am I reaching? Or are they just isolated incidents? Which other pop stars fall into this category or has evaded it? Comment down below. And as always, like and subscribe. Thank you.